my name is Kelly, and I wanted to start off just quickly by talking about how I met Anaya. So I'd flown in about 5 minutes ago. I'm at this coffee shop having a conversation with this person, and Anayet's in the corner basically eavesdropping. He's like looking back and forth and like, what's this guy about? And he's just sort of like intimidatingly and menacingly walking behind me. And I realized that, you know, one of us has to say hi. So I say to him, hey, what's up? And he's like, I heard what you're talking about and we need to talk. And in a few minutes I realized that apart from like helping solve cancer, apparently, he's also won competitions for a bunch of STEM things, but he's entrepreneurial. And it was the first time that I had seen in one person that entrepreneurial gift with a scientific curiosity. And it was striking. I thought, what if there was an entire generation of these people? And it was an exciting thing to be able to participate in tech, to be able to think, what would it look like if these ideas that matter were thought of entrepreneurially? So what I'm hoping to spend the next 10-15 minutes on is just talking about why your ideas genuinely matter. Not as a catchphrase, not as a thing to briefly inspire, but why in the age we're in, our raw materials are these ideas you guys have in your head. So the first time it hit me that my ideas mattered, I'm from South Africa, so we still drive with the ship. So my leg is shaking. I'm doing this test because if I fail this, it would be the 5th time I failed my driver's test. My girlfriend had said, by time 6, we're done. So all the pressure was on. So my leg's shaking, I'm reversing, and the guy looking at me gives me this like dead look saying, if you hit this pole, you're gonna fail. And that just put all this extra pressure on, right? So I'm going back and I hit the pole. Oh, no. And my heart sinks because, first of all, how many people here failed their test more than once? No one? I'm hoping there'll be some, so thank you, sir. Thank you. You and me, coffee. But it turns out in South Africa, 1.95 million people at any given time are doing their learners and driving. And about 50% of them are failing. And the thought was, this is old, right? This is in 2003. The thought was, what if we could teach people how to drive on their phone? And these weren't fancy phones. These were phones you play Snake on. I don't even know if you guys remember Snake. And the idea was, what if we could teach a generation of South Africans to learn how to drive on their phone? And before we knew it, we'd launched this tiny little website. We launched on Friday. And on the Monday, 500,000 people were learning how to drive on their phone. And by the Wednesday, that number had doubled. And by the Friday, we were beginning to sell cars. So you could say, hey, do you want to book a test drive in one of these car brands we have going? And like 1,000 people clicked that first weekend. So as a 21-year-old, it was mind-blowing to me, even though that's still old the most you guys. It was mind-blowing to me that this thing in my head, this thing you concoct when you're showering and when you're taking a jog, that this thing can become a company, or it can meet a social ill, or it can become an extra revenue stream. That our ideas genuinely matter. The good thing about this digital age that everyone seems to be so in love with is that there's never been a time in human history where that thought in your mind has tools that are readily available for you to use to make them real, to make your ideas matter. And so from that first coffee shop conversation, what we fell in love with was youth-led innovation. This idea that young people have the ideas that matter and the boldness to chase them and actually go make them something real. And so I want to spend the rest of the time, like I said, talking about which ideas matter, whose ideas matter, and where ideas matter. I'm going to start off with which ideas matter. The first thing to realize that silos are dead. If you think I'm a finance person, no, I'm a scientist, no, I'm an engineer, and all your ideas are in your silo, you're dead in a disruptive age. Because what we're finding is that the most interesting disruptions, the most interesting innovations are cross-silos. To use a basic example, if you have a coffee shop, maybe the last thing you need to be doing is selling better coffee. Maybe you need to bring in books, maybe you need to bring in a music band, right? These are basics we know. But there's something about the STEM field that makes us think in silos. That makes us think that the problems we're solving can only be solved by people in our field or other scientists, and that's where the collaborations are happening. What if we were to cross-silo it? I have a friend who I think is in the audience who will come later. He was talking to his girlfriend and his idea was his problem was that he needed to be able to get rid of all this extra warehouse stuff in his store. He sold clothes to women, and every season he'd have tons and tons of stock in warehouse. It would be a drain on cash flow, and you wouldn't know what to do with it. And he's telling his girlfriend this, and his girlfriend says, well, I'm trying to lose weight. And he says, what's that going to do anything? I'm really worried about my business. I'm feeling like we're under pressure. And she's like, no, listen to me. What if you told women just like me that if they selected a dress that's currently in your warehouse that you're not going to monetize, if they selected a dress, pick the size they would be in 6 months, you'd give them that dress for 6 months if they made that, or 50% off if they made that target dress. That target dress size. He was able to put that online and sell 80% of the stock within a week because he told us his message was, hey, fit the dress you want in 6 months and get 50% off. Now that's a weird way of thinking about a warehousing problem. But he's able to look outside his silo and look at a problem that someone else is dealing with. His girlfriend was trying to lose weight. There are ideas in here, yes, and throughout the back there, that are fantastic. That could be cross-pollinated with media. That could be cross-pollinated with entrepreneurial thinking around music. That could be cross-pollinated with different fields within STEM. What we're learning time and time again, and studying is showing all over the place, is that we can't afford to think in silos anymore. Which ideas matter? The ideas that take the best of different fields and solve problems. The ideas that have the best minds collaborating on different things. Why we're so in love with matching you young scientists with young entrepreneurs is that there's so little activity in the early stage business world, in early stage seed investments, happening between people that are entrepreneurial and have strong STEM credibility. The ideas that matter cross-pollinate, and we need to develop the instincts to look for the collaborations that make sense, to look at the different fields that could help our idea become richer. The second thing to look out for which ideas matter are they empathetic? Empathy, empathy, empathy. If there's one word I hope you take from these 10 minutes, it's empathy. I come from a country that's not dissimilar to yours. We have racial tensions that are all in the news right now. We have a graduate population that's underemployed and underpaid for the jobs they get. We have access to internet and we're mobile savvy. And yet at the same time, we have these real challenges. In my country, they're different than yours. Ours is HIV, tuberculosis. Your country may be a different set of challenges. What frustrates me about going to startup pitch after startup pitch after startup pitch is that the ideas are amazing, but useless. So typically, I'll go to startup pitch with someone, this is a true story actually, someone last week was saying, hey, do you know what's amazing? I have this WhatsApp app that lets you send a WhatsApp in any celebrity voice you want. And so he says, hey, pick a WhatsApp message. And I say, hey, how are you? And he says, pick a celebrity voice. And I say, Barack Obama. And then Barack Obama's voice sends the WhatsApp message. That's exciting, but useless. It's useless because what need is it meeting? What are the needs of the global majority we're going to take on ourselves, our responsibility as young innovators to meet? We can all come up with a really cool app that makes all the right noises and all the right sounds. But as young innovators, are we being empathetic, not just to the global majority, but to people within our community? Poverty is a thing in New York City. There are challenges in this city around education and around disease. As young people, are we able to take on the mantle, the ideas we will come up with matter, that we are empathetic to the needs of the community around us? We don't innovate in a vacuum. We're not in a perfect world. You'll see in the mission statement on TikTok that we talk specifically about women and minorities and people that are at the margins. Because part of what we need to do is realize that innovation comes with responsibility. When we outsource all our innovation to Silicon Valley, they become, the ideas become pretty cookie cutter. Because we're dealing with how to make that picture look sexier and how to make that game run smoother. Those are problems. But are they empathetic to our needs, to the needs of the communities we find ourselves in? Next year we're flying a bunch of South Africans to this great competition, 20 young South Africans aged 17, 18 and 19, who are finding problems that for them are empathetic to their community. And we know that the ideas you guys are coming up with will be empathetic to yours. But which ideas matter? The ideas that cross-pollinate between fields, and the ideas that have empathy at their core. And empathy is more than a feel-good thing. Empathy is about business savvy. Because market share is saying, I get you more than any of my competitors. If Facebook didn't make us feel like we get them, there's tons of competition out there for Facebook, but there's something about Facebook that makes you go, they get me. It might not be the most amazing user experience in one way or another, but you think, these guys get me. The same is true of Instagram and Snapchat. Empathy is about meeting a need, and it's about keeping market share, which is a business need. And we need to bring empathy back to our model. What I love about you guys, as opposed to the picture I went to last week with the WhatsApp example, the first thing I heard in here, as I walked in, the guy called me and he says, hi, I'm trying to find a solution for gonorrhea. It was you. I'm like, well, that's cooler than WhatsApp that. The next guy says, I'm trying to find a way to make sure that, I'm going to mess this up. First of all, she was a girl, I'm so sorry. She said, I'm trying to find a solution to make sure that solar storms don't impact the planet's technology in a harmful way, because that'll cost us up to $3 trillion. Another person, 3 people from her, says to me, the problem I'm trying to solve is when you're paralyzed and when you're crippled, it's really hard to come up with a solution that makes you walk again. These are empathetic things. These are problems that need to be met by the young innovators the world has to offer. And you guys are it. It's our responsibility to innovate in a way that's empathetic, because no one else will. If we talk about the last thing I want to mention, whose ideas matter? So beyond the fact that youth-led innovation is proving time after time to be the thing that makes a city productive. So Sister Cities, a famous NGO, just released a study saying that the one thing that cities across the world, they surveyed 300 cities, the thing that they have in common when they don't have opportunities for education or jobs is a disengaged youth. That in every city that has major financial and economic woes and social woes, when youth are surveyed, the youth come across as disengaged. They're not coming up with ideas. They're not participating in sports. They're not collaborating with each other. The fact that you guys are here makes New York one of the most exciting places to be. Engaged youth is the #1 signal for the fact that a city will be prosperous in the future. Whose ideas matter? You guys. Your ideas matter. But it's important to be perseverant too, because your ideas won't always be a home run. If the world is in a disruptive economy, where ideas are coming at us left, right, and center, how do we know which ones will work and which ones won't? The truth is, many of them will fail. And yes, we're pushing you to be entrepreneurial, but 95% of businesses fail. What we don't hear is that stat switches when you flip it. So founders that have started more than 5 companies succeed 90% of the time. That's not because they're better people. It's because they've persevered through failure. They've built that muscle that allows them to resist failure and to keep ideating even in the face of their last idea having blown up. I'm not much older than you guys, but I failed many times. This is my 4th startup, it's 3 years old, and though we're seeing success and traction here, my other 3 failed horribly. At 22 years old, I was in more debt than my parents. And what excites me about this city is that at the low point of my entrepreneurial career, I was able to make a phone call to New York with our latest idea, and an investor over the phone gave us what was then $100,000 seed capital to make this idea work. And I love the thought that here was an ecosystem that celebrated failure. It wasn't like back home where failure is a black mark, where if I failed once before, I can't get a bank loan. I can't, even your bankruptcy laws allow you to keep going, which I learned by a company. So there's an ecosystem here that lets you fail softly. Take advantage of that. Fail boldly. It's a cliche in startup terms to fail cheaply and fail quickly, but as a young person, I can't overemphasize that. That the people whose ideas matter the most are people who don't view failure as a black mark. Who go, my gonorrhea idea may not have worked, but I've built a network, I've learned from it, I've gained some entrepreneurial skills, and I'm going to be bold enough to solve the next problem. So I thank you so much for your time, for your dedication. I look forward to being able to bring all those staff can scale next year. And I wish you all the best with your ideas. I hope that you begin to think of them entrepreneurs. Because the truth is, you guys have a high propensity for failure, which is a great thing. You are empathetic, and you are what makes the city likely to keep prospering in the future.